It's the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast with Alex Trataros, John Meleka, and Raisi on the beat. Let's go.
The Jets episode of the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast. It will be my buddy, my coach, my pal, the man with the plan, the one and only John Meleka. But before we ask John how he's doing, got to ask you guys for a little favor, all right? I got to ask you to make sure you subscribe to this podcast on any audio platform they listen to. We're on Apple, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon, Alexa, Stitcher, you name it. We are there. And if you listen to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please make sure to give us that 5-star rating. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, please make sure to leave a comment. That helps oh so greatly. Also, we're on YouTube now. Make sure to go type in Knicks, Jets, etc. Go look for our page, subscribe, hit the notification bell. That way you know when new episodes drop. And when you watch a video, make sure to be a polite person. Hit that like button, okay? You can also leave a comment as well. We'll respond. And while you're there, we got Winning Picks Weekly. John, video producer Greg, who will be joining us today to get into this draft stuff. They go down the NFL slate. They're doing NFL playoffs right now. So we got the Super Bowl, obviously, is the last game of the NFL season. They'll give you their takes next week on it. But guys, get ready for some NBA action as well. These guys got it on lock. They'll hold you down. So make sure to go check them out as well. And then last and certainly not least, please make sure to follow us on all social media platforms, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. We are there. All right. Now, with that being said, John, how are you doing today, my man?
I'm good, man. Coming off a Knicks win versus the Kings, a much-needed win, victory morning. Haven't felt that in a long time. And then, the craziest news coming out. Basically, every team that's anti-Jets, something happened with them today. Whether that's Tom Brady retiring and not mentioning the Patriots and Patriots fans crying about that, which was hilarious. Or we got the Brian Flores lawsuit, the coach from the Dolphins who had a winning season getting fired, accusing the New York Giants of using him for basically texting someone or telling someone or putting out the news that they're hired their new coach for Dable from the Bills. Meanwhile, they still have the interview with Brian Flores in a couple of days. And the person that ratted that out was none other than Bill Belichick, the old snap face guy from New England.
I would say,
what a day.
Depending on your feelings on the Giants, you either got the trifecta or the quadfecta today going on. So it's a good day for Jets fans, apparently. Tom Brady retired too, as you already mentioned. So if you're a green and white fan, be ecstatic. But John,
take everyone's draft
right?
picks. Take everyone's draft picks. Tampering in the Dolphins. Take everyone's draft picks. And today we also got, the real news here is we got the Senior Bowl. We got the Jets coaching the actual prospects. Everything is fantastic in Jets land right now. Take everybody's draft picks, change, discipline everyone, give it, and we have statistically the most points on the whoever made it up system of NFL draft picks, where we have the most number of draft picks, in the highest case right now. The next team behind us is the Giants. So we're sitting pretty right now. We're sitting pretty.
For sure. And you know what? And to get into the Senior Bowl, to get into all this Jets news, it's only fitting that, because you talk about it's like a holiday, it's like Christmas, it's a celebration. We got to bring in the one and only who started this tradition to get you into it on this podcast with us. So none other than our video producer, Greg Albert, joining us today. So we got even another trifecta going on for today. We got everyone on screen, everyone to talk about the Jets, whether it's Senior Bowl, Tom Brady retiring, anything and everything that involves the New York Jets or the AFC East. So Greg, how you doing, bro? How you been?
I'm great. Just like you guys have been saying, this is a big day for us. We're catching wins all over the place. Sounds like Senior Bowl practice went well. So great day for our team, bad day for our enemies. It's a day we might not forget. 2/1/22. It's a good day. So I'm excited. Happy to be here. Happy to be on video with you guys. So Thanks for having me. Excited to talk some Senior Bowl. And excited to talk about, the Dolphins' demise maybe. Maybe the Giants get in some trouble. Who knows? Who knows what's going on in the NFL these days?
Yo, it is all right. So it's we're gonna save all the outside Jet stuff that even though it involves the Jets, we're gonna save that for last. We're
That's
gonna go
icing on the
straight.
cake to me, so
Yeah.
I agree with you.
So if you guys are excited to hear our feelings about that, stay for the remainder of this pod. But let's get into the big news first. We got Robert Saleh, we got Joe Douglas, we got Ron Middleton. They're out there at the Senior Bowl right now. But before we get to the prospects, we had news today because our from 2020, our first draft pick under JD, Mekhi Becton, is now coming up here, and there's questions on his now tenure with the Jets and whether he'll be traded, if he's going to be a starter, that he has to earn his position now. All this circling around. So, John, with all this news coming out today, I'm going to ask you first, what is your opinion after hearing all this right now?
You know what's funny? You know this saying, you could take, the person out of New York, but you can't take the New York out of the person? Like, the Jets are going to coach the Senior Bowl, and that means their media is also invited, right? So, former people of the show, like Will Parkinson, like DJ Bieniemy from the New York Post, like everyone from the New York Daily News, he's there. So that means that we have our media there asking these ridiculous questions. Like the Lions are there. There's no issues over there. But for us, we always have problems with our media. The first question was about our left tackle, which was fair. I'm not criticizing the question, but it's just funny. Like, New York media is just a little ridiculous. Anyway, we're sitting here talking about Mekhi Becton, and we have some pretty troubling news, right? Because for the first time, I think ever, it hasn't been Mekhi Becton is the best thing that's ever happened, to this Jets offensive line, to this team. He's our best draft pick. Everything is fantastic on our offensive line after. It starts with him, right? And then everything else we have to figure out. For the first time, his job is on the line. And Alex, you've been screaming about it all year, right? Becton is supposed to be a 6 to 8 week injury. It's week 10. It's week 12. It's week 15. And then it was like, all right, the season's over. Let's just wait it out. But apparently that's not how the Jets were seeing it. Apparently there's some mental problems, but not in the sense of like psychiatric impairments, but in the sense of, I think he might have been overweight, right? Because there were some rumblings about that. So maybe he just wasn't in shape when he was injured. There's some question marks now about Becton at left tackle. George Font, actually, now there's some competition because it's hard to tell like Becton, if he's like, I know who the second left tackle behind me is. Like, what are you gonna do? Put McDermott there? Like, let's be serious. Like, I'm good. I can be 650 pounds, but you're still gonna put me in there. But now, if Font's playing well, now he's good to go. Plus, now for the first time ever, we heard, and now he can move around on the offensive line. And that's coming from the coaches. Like, we'll try him out at right tackle. Like, whoa, that statement kind of took me aback. Like, what do you guys think about that?
Greg, I'll let you go first since you're our guest, and let's hear your opinions first before I add mine in.
Do we have to do this during the Senior Bowl though? That's what I don't get about this whole.
That's it makes no sense.
That's
dude.
what I don't get about this whole thing. And to me, that's just a sign of a inexperienced head coach. The question is the question. The reporter's going to ask the question. Do you have to give this answer this week? Can you just let it breathe? Like we're the Super Bowl hasn't even happened yet, Coach. Like, come on. So.
Oh, Becton's fat already. Like,
yeah, like we get it. Dude. Like, my God.
Camp.
So I don't know. So that kind of threw me off a little bit. I was kind of upset with the question or the answer from our coach. But to me, what I got out of the response was there's no guaranteed jobs on this roster, which I think is a great spot to be at an organization where we're going to compete at every level for every position. So to John's point, we have other people here who can play well. So you're not going to just be slotted into left tackle, or maybe if we try him at right tackle, whatever it is, you're going to have to compete week in, week out. And I think also to Salah's point, it's like, do you want to compete? Like I read it as a mental thing, but not maybe to the same sentiment that you took, John, but just like, where's your head at when it comes to the drive to get back onto the field? A 6 and 8 week injury turned into a 10-week injury, 12-week injury, a season-long injury. So was it because of weight, or was it because of this, or was it because of drive and wanting to be on the field to help your team to complete an objective? So, I think it's good to light a fire under Becton. I just don't know if we need to do it on February 1st.
Yeah,
So,
it's just like, yeah, I agree with you a little bit there. Like, it's just like, the Jets suck anyway. My foot hurts. Let me just wait it out, because that's kind of annoying to a head coach. And Alex always likes to mention that wasn't his pick. That wasn't Saleh's pick. Like, he doesn't care.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He doesn't care about Becton. And if he's not there, the best ability is availability.
100%.
And he wasn't available the entire year. And it was our first year with our new quarterback, and you're the left tackle. So, like, figure it out, bro.
Yeah, and like, look, when you look at Becton, it definitely is like the weight. He came into camp overweight. He had to get down to size, and you could say that could have impacted the knee and the foot injury, all of that as well. And you should be in shape when you're coming into camp. Like, you shouldn't be so out of shape. It's like, it's one thing to come into camp and you're working to get into better shape. You have to come into a camp at some decent level of shape. And I think when you talk about mental, John, as you already pointed out, it's not psychiatric. It's, all right, how serious are you taking this job? This is an opportunity that very few people get. This is you're at the prime position. It's not right tackle, it's left tackle. You're playing the blind side, okay? So
For now,
we need for now. We need you to be locked and loaded, ready to go. And look, we could talk about the season-long injury. Although when you hear a foot injury for a big man, I'm not too upset that he took out the entire season. What were we going to do this season to begin with? I know it's another year of evaluation that you just lost out of Becton, but we saw after his rookie season, I'm not too concerned. Everyone around the league knows that there's talent. That's why there's even like trade rumors right now, because someone would trade for this guy and try to buy low on him and have him as like a primo left tackle. Like, we know what he can be, but can he actually mentally overcome this hurdle and be that player that we know he can be and come into camp ready and perform at that high level? That's all that is. The thing for me, though, and I think, Greg, you pointed it out, is why are we answering this question now? This is so unnecessary.
It's crazy.
We have it. It's not even like, hey, Saleh, you can chill. You can wait. You can even wait to fucking training camp. Let's not even cause controversy going to the locker room before the locker room is even open for these dudes. Like, they're home chilling. Can you imagine for Becton, who like chilling back, just like maybe you're even getting a workout and you're like, word, my job's I didn't get this. I didn't get this notice. Now you're getting noticed through the fucking media that your job's on the line. That's wild. I mean, that's rookie coaching at the beginning, dealing with New York media, like 101. Like, just you try to push that thing off as long as possible.
Or he wants to do that. That's his goal. He's pissed off. You know what I'm saying? And he wants to put a fire in Becton's butt before this season's, like, before anything starts. Like, hey man, you're on notice. Like, don't show up to training camp like you did last time. You better show up to what is it? Offseason
OTAs.
Workouts. Yeah, the OTAs. Sorry, it was slipping my mind.
Yeah.
Our Super Bowl. I still got the Super Bowl. I'm trying not to go that far. So you better show up and you better be good, because we have a veteran who's not going to show up to that probably, and he's good to start. So
yeah,
you're honestly, you're officially on notice, and I'm sure we're going to get into it right now. You know, they're looking into some offensive linemen. Joe Douglas spent some time there. There's some good prospects. We also there's some guys in free agency that we might attack that way as well, and also Evan Neal. Right, like Evan Neal he's going to be the third or fourth pick. So you're on notice, dude. That's the only thing. So I don't want to like be too down on Saleh for that, because we don't really know his motive. But I could see where he's coming from. I'll just say that.
I could see where it's coming. My hope, and we can hop right into this to the Senior Bowl and everything about that. My hope is that he at least talked to Becton about it first before just putting it out there, because you want to earn your players' trust, right? You want to have that communication first. So if Becton's already on notice and then you're just saying it to the media like, yeah, he's on notice, that's one thing. But if you're telling Becton now that he's on notice without really telling him face to face, they are no, that's a little problematic. Yeah. But regardless, let's move into the Senior Bowl, guys. We got our coaches there. As I said, we got JD, we got Robert Saleh, and we got Ron Middleton. Ron Middleton's the one coaching this, right? He's
Our
the
tight
coach
ends
for the
coach.
Senior Bowl. Yep, our tight ends coach is coaching the Senior Bowl. And we know today from what Rich Cimini or all the other beat reporters out there that the Jets are looking at tight ends. They're looking at offensive linemen. Not a surprise. We need to upgrade a tight end drastically. We also need some linemen as well to fill it out. We need a right guard. You can debate if we need a right tackle, depending on how you feel about Morgan Moses, if you want to bring him back for another season. But we do need to keep adding, even a center too. We do need to keep adding to that offensive line. So, John, what are some of the names that you got that came out to you today when you're looking at the Jets at Senior Bowl?
Well, first of all, I think it's really interesting that Ron Middleton, our tight ends coach, is the head coach, and I think that it's very important to note that because, as you said, we are desperate for a tight end, and there's some really good tight ends out there, man. I know that Joe Douglas has this thing about drafting the best player at that position. You know what I mean? Even though if it's not like the top quarterback, but he'll be like, I'm going to draft the best, right guard, or I'm going to try to draft the best slot receiver. You know what I mean? To try to get those through. At this point, there's Trey McBride, right? He's the number one name. I don't think that the Jets are going to draft him because he's going to be the number one pick, and I think he's going to be the first tight end off the board. But what we are looking at, in my opinion, and I know that our producer Raisi is going to be super hyped, is the guy from Ohio State who, as you mentioned, his dad, texted or tweeted at the Jets pre Senior Bowl practice like, "Yo, you better draft my son," which I don't know how that really holds up in NFL locker rooms, NFL head coaches. So, of course, his name is Jeremy Ruckert. So, I like him at tight end. And the third guy I'm going to mention that hasn't been mentioned a lot, but I know if you're watching college football, I know if you're into the draft, you've heard of Jake Ferguson from Wisconsin. He's the third tight end. We had Will Parkinson there today. We had, again, the Jets reporters out there today. Those are also the three names that they threw out the most. The guy that I like, no pun intended, is Isaiah Likely from South Carolina. If we can get him like really late, even if we get a Jeremy Ruckert early, like if we can somehow, grab a Likely at the end there, because I definitely don't want to pay for a tight end in free agency. I'm really scared about that. So for tight ends, those are my three guys that I'm just like looking at for now. We'll see how it all plays out, but it's just one day of practice for us right now. I'm definitely really interested in watching the game, and those are like the 3-4 tight ends I'm really gonna have my eye on.
What about you, Greg? Any tight ends that you're looking at right now?
Yeah, I mean, to John's point about first off addressing the tight end position, maybe there might be a guy or two in the free agency that we might be able to sign. So we have cap room. Do we want to sign a guy? I kind of tend towards yes if it's a proven guy, and then draft one of these guys later in the draft, like Likely, for example, as a guy to kind of learn from a veteran and come up through our system. But if we're not going to address it
Coastal Carolina, baby.
Yeah.
Killed it this year. We watched so much Coastal Carolina.
Yeah, starting last year, I love Coastal Carolina.
Yeah.
So I've been watching them. He's great. I mean, he's great. All these guys are great. What worries me a little bit about, and something I said with Zach Wilson coming from BYU, is the level of competition that they play week in and week out. So that's why if you're talking about Jeremy Rucker at Ohio State, he's going to be playing big-time games. He went, played in the college football championship,
He's also on a pro-style offense. That's what matters.
Yep.
Yeah.
All those guys, like there's tight end universities like Wisconsin, Iowa. I'm so mad that Sam Laporta did not declare. If Sam Laporta's in this draft, I would just be screaming about him, the tight end from Iowa. I want him next year. I don't care where he gets drafted. I just want him. I love him. But there's like tight end universities, you know what I mean? Like Ohio State, Wisconsin, like any of these guys I'm down. I know like McBride is just really good. So he's kind of, the outlier there, Colorado State. But dude, Coastal Carolina, I don't care. They're from Coastal Carolina. Isaiah Likely's a beast. If we can get him late, like I know we were already doing some mock drafts. Shout out to PFF, Pro Football Focus, but we were going through it a little bit. And if he's there in the 5th, 6th round, dude, how do you not grab Isaiah Likely?
And then my last thing about the tight ends is, what do you want from the tight end position? Do you want a pass catching guy? Like Trey McBride, to me at least, from what I've seen so far, and again, it's February 1st, is, he's a guy that's going to line up outside and he's going to be a real threat when it comes to passing. I think Likely is like that as well. But then do you want more of a guy that can run block for you, that can play closer to the line and give you more options, chopping some guy, slowing down a pass rusher, and then coming out for 3 or 4 yards down the field, a quick, option or something like that. So it kind of really depends on what you're looking for from Michael Ford's perspective or Coach Saleh, as a whole for the offense. What do we want as an identity for our tight end? And then from there, you can start picking and choosing at who you're going to look at. What's nice about this draft class is that tight end's pretty deep. So I think that's why we chose our tight ends coach to be our head coach, because we can get a good look at all these tight ends that we're going to be coaching and then also planning for against on the other team. And we can come away from this week with these guys, or however long it is, to kind of have a good feeling going into this draft class on what we're going to do to address the tight end position, because we all know we need to address it. We have to figure it out.
For sure. And come on, Ron Middleton did coach. He was a head coach for one game and he won. So against the Jaguars. So you know what it is, man. You got to put your best assistant coach out there who knows how to win and be a head coach for these football games. But I totally agree on that. And like, this draft is deep with tight ends. John, you mentioned it, Trey McBride. I think he's one that's projected to go in the second round. So if the Jets want to go there and draft him, that's one option.
Can we have 2 Trey McBrides in New York at the same time? The Jets and the Knicks?
Two McBrides. Can you imagine if we got Thibodeau and McBride? That'd be hilarious.
That would be funny.
But yeah, I think like right now I'm seeing projections for Trey McBride to go in the second round. The Jets could get him around the 38th pick if they wanted to use that draft pick as well. But another guy that I think is interesting is Jake Ferguson for Wisconsin. I think he's another good tight end to go. You can get him probably later on in the middle round, somewhere between like 4 to 5, and use him. He's a 6'5", 244-pound tight end. Caught 145 passes for 1,600 yards with 13 touchdowns in 47 games. That's quite a tight end, man. And
he blocks.
And he's a willing blocker too. So when you're thinking about what Michael Ford wants to do and coming from the 49ers, and you look at how
Kittle
played. Thank you. My brain farting right now. Thank you. Appreciate it. When you look at Kittle and we look at Kittle and you see that how he's also a blocker, but he's a very good pass catcher. Obviously, you're not gonna get. It's hard to find someone like that could transcend to that. But the fact that you look at that system, you need someone who's able to block and be a pass catcher. Jake Ferguson seems to be that type of guy that fits that mold. And on top of that, if you look at what JD when he was out in Philly, they did take Dallas Goedert too. So I wouldn't be surprised with that similar type of mesh of a tight end coming to the New York Jets. So Jake Ferguson's definitely another guy to be on the lookout for.
Yeah, I mean that's really all I got on the tight ends. We also got a lot of pictures today from Joe Douglas hanging around the offensive lineman, which was just all over, and it's just so funny now. Whether you're new or old on the Jets beat now, because DJ is officially off his rookie season, but yeah, because I guess this counts as a second year scouting, so he's officially off his. But I don't know if he was there from the very, very beginning. But anyway, he already knows what's the clickbait. Like, he already knows. Like, just take a picture of Joe Douglas standing by here. That everyone's going to freak out. And guess what we did? And we already got Zion Johnson. We're already grinding tape for the kid from BC, who's, I mean, if he is lining up at center and we're already thinking about trading down from number 10, and even if Linderbaum does get drafted within the 10-15 range, if we're get later than that from the trade down, if they have their eyes on someone like Zion Johnson, I'm not going to be too mad about it. I honestly, he's going to be one of those guys that I'm staring at. There's a couple. This is why I love scouting the Senior Bowl. This is why the draft is a holiday, Alex. This is why, because we get so into it from now. We get so into the Senior Bowl because what's the Senior Bowl about? The Senior Bowl is not about the top 20 picks. You know what I mean? That's not what this is about. This is about the second round, third round, fourth round, fifth round. And then when you break it down like that, it kind of gets short. right? It doesn't feel like, oh my God, he's getting drafted in the 4th, 5th round. It's like, no, dude, that's like our 3rd guy. That's our 3rd pick. We've been looking up guys all year. So someone like Cole Strange from Chattanooga, another guy, shout out New York, right? If we're trying to get a bunch of local guys, he's a guy that I'm going to be staring at all draft. Like, oh my God, is Cole Strange gone yet? No. Okay, we're still good. We still have someone in our back pocket. But one of the guys, definitely one of like the big standouts for at least the first day of practice. And then when you start going into it, he had a huge year. For me, is going to be Zion Johnson. What do you got, Greg?
I mean, Zion Johnson, I think, to your point, it's like we're talking about like day 2, day 3 guys, like, 3rd, 4th round. So, to me, that's quality depth. Zion Johnson, I think he's 2-time ACC player. He was a top 20 guy coming back for the ACC this year. So he had some pedigree going into the season, and he had a good year. To your point about schools that develop specific talent, I feel like Boston College does a pretty good job with the offensive linemen. So
AJ Dillon, never heard of him? He ran behind them.
Yeah, so there's some good players there.
You ever heard of Damian Woody? He's from Boston College.
Yeah, so these guys can play. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about not just interior linemen, but also if we're talking about tackles, we start off with Becton as well. One guy that I kind of noticed, and I'm not sure if he's on our team in the Senior Bowl, but just as a general draft prep I've been looking at, is Trevor Penning from Northern Iowa.
I don't think
he's a big son of a gun.
Him and the guy from Minnesota, they're both not on our team.
Yeah.
Daniel, I cannot say his last name, Falele or something. He's huge, and because he's not on our team, where they're not like talking about him too much.
Yep.
But he is huge too, and if he's not a tackle, I don't know what he is. Like he's gonna be a guard. It's gonna be insane.
Yeah. So. To your point about guys that are actually like on our team, what's nice too about the Senior Bowl, so you mentioned too, I think the Senior Bowl last year, I think the statistic going into it is that 90% of the people that played in the Senior Bowl were on the field in an NFL game at some point last year. So that's not just, like you said, those top, first round, top 20 guys. It's guys that build depth. It's guys that make locker rooms. And it's guys that contribute throughout the season. So whether it is Cole Strange, if we take him kind of later in the back half of the draft, because we're saying, okay, we didn't get Linderbaum, who was supposed to be this top center talent, generational guy. We're going to stick it out with who we have now, but then we're going to draft Strange and kind of bring him on in the center position later on. I'm okay with that. And same thing with Zion. If we get him and we kind of develop him in the guard position, but now we're talking about guys who chances are probably aren't going to start for us right away. But as we know with the offensive line, we need depth.
For sure. And what do you think about Kenyon Green from Texas A&M? You talk about Linderbaum, who's from Iowa. He's a good interior lineman, 6'3", 290 pounds. He's pretty good at moving. And that's, they have the Jets projected to take him at 10th right now in the first round, which wouldn't be upset about it because we do need to add interior depth for that line, as we talked about, especially at right guard. And you could slide him in right there. But what about Kenyon Green as like a consolation prize? Because he's probably going to go in the later, a little bit either later in the first or probably a little bit later in the later rounds too.
So it kind of depends, because to me, there's a couple guys that we're kind of talking about that might go in the later of the first round, right? So Linderbaum, depending on where you're looking at, he's going top 10, but he's also going all the way down like 28. The tight end that we just talked about from Colorado State,
Trey McBride.
Yeah, yep, exactly. Kenyon Green here or someone else maybe. So what I'm interested is, and we know Joe Douglas likes to move around and trade some picks or whatever it might be. Do we trade out of one of our top first round picks, but then also move back into the late first round if one of these guys fall? Because I could see us doing that for Linderbaum. I could see us doing that for McBride if he's there. I don't know if I can see it for Green, just because I don't know how big of a need right guard is for us to give up so much draft capital late in the first round.
Well, the thing is, like, if you're projecting to get Green in the later rounds, like probably around the 20s, 30s, maybe even like the early second round, if Joe Douglas wanted to package something, you can get more draft capital at that point by moving back. And that would make sense if he wants to do that, since Joe Douglas is known for building through the draft, and that's been his core philosophy. And we see that free agency has been essentially a dud for Joe Douglas, but he loves to go through the draft. So I wouldn't be surprised if he wants to go that route. It's just who are you trading with, who's moving up, because this isn't a quarterback heavy draft where teams who need a quarterback could move up and you could really entice somebody with either the 4th or 10th. That's just the biggest question. So who would want to move up unless you get another Chicago Bears mishap? Like, we'll move up for the sake of moving up where we don't really need to move up, and take another like Mitch Trubisky or something stupid like that. But it's
Yeah, so
questionable.
to your point, if he falls to us in the early second round, I could see us taking it just because it's probably going to be a need because we didn't address interior offensive line in the first 2 picks. If we address in the first 2 picks, then, we're on to something else. But, a lot of these guys that are going in the first round or, early second round, they're guys that can start us, can start if we need them right away. But I think they can really develop into the back half of the season and take over some roles because as we saw this season, as we see pretty much every year, our offensive line is going to get beat up. We're going to need people to fill in roles in the back half of the season. So
Now, Greg, you weren't on here with John and I last week. I mean, you did chime in at the end, but
Yep.
not really going in like full on depth. But this team also needs playmakers, and notably at the wide receiver position, because we saw with Corey Davis, injury prone. We've known that he didn't get to play a full season, was a little inconsistent. We have Elijah Moore, who broke out, especially in the second half of the season. Do you see the Jets taking a wide receiver in the first round with either one of these top picks? And that goes for you too, John. What do you think?
I mean, if I'm going first, I don't see it just because I'm not sure what Mike LaFleur wants in a wide receiver. So I was always from the school of thought of we should be drafting these like Julio Jones type 6'4", 6'3", big body guys and go up and get 50-50 balls. And I don't know necessarily after watching a season of Michael LaFleur if that's really what we're about, or if we're more about guys that can use their speed to create space and then catch the ball and get yards after the catch. I guess I'm not really sure if that was just him being a little conservative with Zach Wilson, not just airing it out, or if that's what he wants to do. John, I see you shaking your head. So what do you think for
I agree.
for wide receivers? What are we looking for in a wide receiver going forward?
He has a formula, right?
Yep.
Like Alex started with the tight ends. Like he's looking for his George Kittle, or as we like to call him, or his Greg Kittle.
Yep.
And he has the same formula with the wide receivers. As you saw this year, it really mirrored what San Francisco's been trying to do. Like Deebo Samuel, like Braxton Berrios was a poor man's Deebo Samuel. This just is what it is. And he's about to be a rich man's Deebo Samuel
Yeah.
after he gets paid. And Elijah Moore, another guy who's in space, right? Corey Davis is that outside guy because you need them, right? I don't think
Yes.
that we're against those guys, but I agree with you. I don't think we're looking for Julio Jones, Braylon Edwards, Brandon Marshall. I think we're looking for more like an Allen Robinson. You know what I mean? A Calvin Ridley. One of the guys that like to move around and guys that can play the slot and guys that like to play the yak.
Yeah.
But before we move on to wide receivers, let me just say one thing. Just 2 more prospects. The boys from Georgia are really good too. Jamari Slater and Justin Schaefer. I wouldn't mind any of those guys too. But I want to ask you guys about Linderbaum because we kind of just touched on him. I'm still a little butthurt about Quentin Nelson, man. I'm still a little butthurt that we didn't get Quentin Nelson, okay? And he was our pick that we gave away for him, all right? We also could have got McGlinchey, and look at McGlinchey chilling there with San Francisco, helping them run as well. And all they said about Nelson was that same. I feel like I could take a tape recorder and put it over Linderbaum and just write his name there, and it would be the same thing that they said about Nelson. Right, every single thing is the same. Generational, is great off the field. He's an actual leader. He does stuff with charity. Like, how can we pass up on him? Like this, I'm actually struggling with it. Like if we're at number 10 and he's sitting there and we did the math, Greg, we went through it and we realized that he's going to get paid as a number 5 center in the league with guaranteed money if he's drafted at number 10. Yep. So it's a big commitment. But how do you pass on it, dude? Like, Quentin Nelson's getting paid. He's fine. They're about to extend him. They don't give a damn. He's great. You know what I mean? Like, how can we pass on Linderbaum just because there's other players there, like a Zion Johnson, like a Schaefer, like a Slater, like any of these guys?
Alex, what do you think?
Nah, I think they're going to take him at 10, man. We need some. The question is, are we going to go offensive line heavy with the first 2 picks, or just go one and then choose like people are mocking us to take cornerbacks and safeties. You're all wild out here. We're not going to do that. Okay. I think what's going to happen is that we're going to take, if Neal falls, we're going to take Neal. And if he's not there, then we're going to take Linderbaum at 10, because he's probably going to be there at 10, and the Jets should definitely take him to solidify this right guard issue. Like Morgan Moses is a good stopgap option.
You don't think he's going to play center?
I mean, you could
better
have
play
him play
center, bro. He
You
better
want to play center?
If we draft a number 10, he better play center, bro. Be the quarterback of the team, dude. Come on. You're going to play guard? Come on, bro.
We'll see what they have in plan. I mean, if you're hearing,
that would be so annoying. Right guard.
If you hear freaking Robert Saleh be like, well, Mekhi Becton could play right tackle and all this other stuff. It's like, well, I have no idea anymore what's going on around these parts.
No, come on. If we draft Linderbaum at 10 and he becomes a right guard, I'm gonna be so mad.
It would be an all-time Jets move, though. Yeah. It would be an all-time Jets move. I wouldn't be too surprised, but it would be surprising. It would be insane.
Generational talent at center. Great. Let's try right guard.
Nothing put us past this team, man. I'm just being a little facetious. Nah, he's definitely gonna be playing center. He's good. I'm just being facetious. He's definitely gonna be playing center if we draft him at 10, and you need him at center. It's considered a generational talent. He said best center in the 2022 draft class, but it would be funny. I'm just being facetious at that point.
Look, Kyle Pitts worked out. Kyle Pitts worked out.
Yeah.
He wasn't supposed to be drafted that early. We all laughed. Everyone's like, "Oh my god, draft him in fantasy, this, that." And I was looking through the stats. If he had a top 5 rookie year, he wouldn't even be like top 15 in tight ends during the year. He broke some records. If it's good enough for Kyle Pitts, I just don't get how it's not good enough for Linderbaum this year. I can't. I'm not really able to reconcile this right now.
Look, man. If he's there at 10,
and we trade down, if we trade down,
see, that's the thing.
Someone drafts him, and then we get some schlub. Oh my goodness. I don't know if I'll be able to live this one down. Anyway, I know I had to go back to it. I just wanted to get your thoughts on Linderbaum because he's all over the place in mock drafts, as Greg was talking about. He's all over the place on Jets fandom, right? Whether we want to draft. And then today came out that the Jets want to trade down. I do agree with one thing you said, Alex, and I'm pretty much holding to this point too. I think the Jets will trade down one of these 2 spots, but I think it depends.
It's got to be 4
on Neal. No, if the 2 defensive ends in Thibodeau, like you mentioned, and Hutchinson, and then Neal are gone 1, 2, 3 in any order, I could see a trade down, right? And then we can even get Nakobe Dean, and we can fix the linebackers there. And then if that happens, then we have to get Linderbaum at 10, right? We have to.
Yeah.
Okay. Or if the opposite,
and that's the thing. No, see here in the trade down, the 10 obviously doesn't have as much value as a 4. And if you're trading down, you're going to trade your highest one because the guys that you wanted up there aren't there anymore. So why waste it on a safety? Why waste it on a corner? Why waste it on a wide receiver at that point? Might as well just move back and go get somebody else that you know that you can go get in that later round or later in the first round or even in the second round, depending on how they move that deal. But I think the lock is that we're getting a lineman in that top 10. We're getting a lineman. I don't know. It's either gonna be Neal. It's either gonna be Linderbaum. I mean, if we get both of them, that'd be wild. Like that offensive line would be stacked.
It would be sick, but there is something to be said that Saleh is a defensive head coach. And last year they did a bunch of trade downs, all this stuff, and everyone was an offensive player until they started in the 5th round where they just started like piecing together anyone. Okay. And you saw what happened. You get Sherwood, you get Hamza, you get Jason Pinnock. Like, he's going to be like an Eccles. He's going to be like, okay, we're going to change that up a little bit, guys. Like, I'm going to need some defensive guys in the top here, and then you guys can dabble later with the offense.
But the thing is, this is a quarterback league. And in order for the quarterback to succeed, you need weapons and you need an O-line. So you got to focus on what your quarterback needs first.
And the defense.
You do need a defense. But I feel like for what they have Zach Wilson, they want to make sure they can utilize Zach Wilson. He's going to year 2, right? You want to make sure that he can grow and that you can actually win games at this point, and you need some sort of offense. If you're competitive in games because of your offense, that's one thing. If you're competitive in games and your offense is still stalling and it's just defense holding it down, it's going to be a little hard sell on the fan base and to the owner. It's like, yeah, man, ain't looking too good, but hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, what I was gonna say about that is to your point about that, John. Like Coach Saleh being like, "Hey, like I'm here to play defense. Like I need some defensive guys." Joe Douglas is gonna say, "Listen, guy, I drafted Zach Wilson. My job's tied to Zach Wilson, so I'm gonna keep drafting offensive guys because I need that to work out. I need to
And that's
protect
why-
them. I need weapons. I need guys." You're the defensive mastermind. You
Yo.
just mastermind the defense. You figure it out with the guys we're giving you. I have to worry about my job as Joe Douglas, and I have to protect Zach Wilson at all costs, because if it doesn't work out with him, my job's over. My tenure's over as general manager.
Well, so let's talk about it, because if we're talking about weapons now, there's a guy that's out there that's cooking guys on the field called Christian Watson, man, from North Dakota
I knew
State.
we were gonna talk about. I knew you were talking about
6'5",
He's all-
208.
yeah.
I mean, DJ Bieniemy just posted. He got 43 catches for 800 yards and 7 touchdowns this past season alone. I mean, you want to talk about it? You want to talk about a big body? What they were mentioning, Greg, like a Julio Jones,
Yep.
that size that can go up and catch the ball at the highest point. That's this guy right here. And from the videos that we're seeing right now, he's got some good footwork. He's got good route running, solid, not necessarily a burner, but his route running is solid enough where he can get guys to go in the wrong direction. So I like what I'm seeing from Watson so far, film-wise, just what the guys have been showing from the beat today in the Senior Bowl. Obviously, his film from college, it's so hard to determine in college because your defensive backs are so hit or miss. It's either it's a 50-yard pass and no one's around me, or it's like, hey, that guy's actually within like 10 yards and it's still wide open. But I like what I'm seeing right now from him, and everyone else is talking about him like this is the type of guy that you need on your team to be a playmaker and a difference maker. And as we saw during like these past couple of games, like you need those type of wide receivers, guys who can just make a difference. And I think Watson's going to definitely be up there in consideration for being drafted. The question is, where do you go get him? Right? Is he a first rounder? Is he a second rounder?
No.
Third rounder? Where
No.
were you thinking?
Late. I'm trying to look it up right now because I think North Dakota State played Duke this year, if I remember correctly, early in the season. And if that's the case, I'm trying to pull it up. I'll pull it up when one of you guys are talking about it. But if they did, I remember that game because I was just screaming, throw it to number one. Throw it to number one. He's by far the best player on the field. And I had them in that game. They were underdogs against Duke for some reason. Duke stunk. But either way, throw it to number one because he's that good. The problem with him, and like with all these guys, they flash and they show real well. You're playing at North Dakota State. Like you should, if you have a shot at going to the NFL, you should be dominating everyone out on the field. I'm more concerned early in the draft with guys that are at the SEC schools, the Big Ten schools, because those are guys going against legit competition, other NFL players week in, week out. Late in the draft, if we take him, I'm all for it because he has true playmaking ability. It's just a matter of, like, to your point, when are we taking him? So
That's the whole thing.
Yeah, but nothing would like I would actually be pretty shocked if he went in the first round. But
yeah,
I'm
no
like,
way.
yeah, I'd be pretty shocked if he went in the first round. Would be
Or the
as
second.
shocked. I wouldn't be as shocked in the second. I think he's a good third round pick if you want to reach for somebody.
He's
Maybe
a day three
fourth.
guy. He's a day three guy they're all going to be screaming about. He's going to be the number one guy after day two that everyone's talking about. Who's going to come on day three? Who's still guys left on the board that are really exciting? And,
Yeah, if you're talking about like day one or day two guys that have size, you're looking at Drake London from USC. A lot of people have
those guys aren't on Senior Bowl. Chris Olave even.
Chris Olave
None of
maybe,
those
or
guys.
I don't know if Treylon Burks is there from Arkansas, but he was really good this year.
Yeah, he's not going to the Senior Bowl. He's not Senior.
Yeah, so if you're the guys, that are
Jameson Williams, all these guys.
So the thing is, well, yeah, Jameson Williams,
Yeah.
unfortunately, toward the ACL. But the guy that is at the Senior Bowl that is towards the top of a lot of people's lists is the guy that we have from Penn State, Jahad Dotson, who's not a big guy, 5'11", speedy guy. But when I started watching his tape today, my first thought was, if we don't get Braxton
Braxton
back,
Berrios.
is this our replacement? Is this our guy that we're
yes.
going after? Because he's got the speed, he's got the hands, he's got some one-on-one 50-50 ball capability. He was catching balls against Michigan State. He had some good games against Michigan. So
Calvin Austin's the same way from Memphis.
Yeah, so
he does the same thing. But the thing is, Dotson came out of the Senior Bowl. He dropped out. I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why he's not there.
I did not see that. So to me, John, to your point about I kind of now think about the Jets offense like the San Francisco 49ers. So when I saw Dotson, I'm like, could this be a not as good version of Deebo Samuel? Maybe. Like I said, first thing I thought was, this is our Braxton Berrios replacement if he doesn't come back. But
the things I would do to get Deebo Samuel on this team.
Oh my God.
That's see, this is the issue with chasing. We cannot chase Deebo Samuel. He doesn't exist.
Yeah.
He does not. We could chase Braxton Berrios. He exists, and I agree with that. The other guy that was in my head was Calvin Austin. I'm excited to see what he can do. You have anyone you're looking at, Alex?
At the wide receiver position still? I mean, I think it was just really Watson for me that's really catching my eye.
Okay, cool.
Like there's no one
Bo
really
Melton's
out there.
Bo Melton's there from Rutgers, which is really cool, local guy. I mean, he was really good on Rutgers. If we get Bo Melton at the end there, that'll be fun. I mean, I'm down for that. Especially if he's undrafted. He's gonna be if Bo Melton's undrafted, that's gonna be my Lawrence Cager. I'm telling you right now. So he's gonna be my guy. Which also, I have to mention it. Lawrence Cager is trying to be a tight end. So I'm just saying.
Really?
Yeah.
Like I think the difficulty for me right now to looking at wide receivers, it's like I like Jahan Dotson from Penn State, but he's 5'11", Like I'm wondering do you want to go with another smaller wide receiver? I mean, you already have Elijah Moore who is 5'10", 5'11" as well. Do you want to add another guy at that frame? You also have Braxton Berrios, who's not that big either. Do you want a lot of
sign him?
Yeah, well, I'm just saying if he does return too, right? Like even if he does return, you're thinking, do you want another smaller guy? You need someone at least that can go up and grab these type of passes. Like every team, it feels like every team has someone like those lines, whether it's like Mike Evans, right? Whether it is why can't I even think of his name? Out in for the Chargers. He actually had a really good year. Mike Williams. Mike Williams. Yeah, Mike Williams. Like you think about these big wide receivers.
Listen, the whole thing is there's so many good wide receivers, dude, on the free agency market. Like from Allen Robinson to Chris Godwin. I'm pretty sure Mike Williams.
The fear is when you start going wide receivers in free agency. It's
Michael Thomas.
Michael Thomas.
Ridley,
it's
on the
always
trade
about
market. I don't know.
But when there's something about it, like, will they continue to perform? There's always something like that's just dangling over wide receivers when you sign them during free agency and they demand a lot of money. Are they actually going to perform? That's always I feel like it's one thing if you draft a guy and he stays with the team like a Keenan Allen, right? Or like Mike Evans even. But it's another thing where you got to go start poaching wide receivers. That's just my opinion, though. Obviously, there's wide receivers that you could sign or you've traded for and they still perform. But free agency at the wide receiver position, a little iffy for me because they're always going to demand a lot of money, and it's a skill position that is needy. But I feel like you can find that in the draft as well, and get lucky off of that. But let's touch on the defense real quick. We already know the top two guys that are probably going to be gone before it even gets down to us. Whether it's Hutchinson from Michigan, Kayvon Thibodeau from Oregon.
Yeah, but those guys aren't. That's not. Yeah,
I know they're not the Senior Bowl, but I'm just talking about those are two guys out there. So who at the Senior Bowl?
If one of those guys drop, Alex.
Oh, you're taking them. Yeah,
them and Carl Lawson. That's a life changer. That's not even a game changer. That's a life changer.
We're starting to get back to the New York Sack Exchange once if that happens. All right, like Mark Gastineau, Joe Klecko, that style. But hey. Let's keep it with the Senior Bowl right now. Let's not get our too high in the sky.
I'm just saying.
But who are you guys
talking about the draft?
Who are you guys looking at? Well, the Senior Bowl leads up to the draft. So who are you guys looking at in the Senior Bowl right now that you like? John, I'll start off with you.
So we have our linebackers coach, right? He's running the defense. So I mean, There's one thing we know, and that's we don't have any linebackers. We can't guard a
And
tight
that's
end.
definitely got to be.
and that's why we're here. The number one guy that everyone's talking about is Devin Lloyd, right? Did Devin Lloyd also drop out? I'm pretty sure he did. I don't think he's in the Senior Bowl, but he's the number one guy. I'm not sure if like the people that drop out with no news means that they're like feel that they're above the Senior Bowl. You know what I mean? Because there's like sort of like a stigma, like those people are like trying out, kind of like I don't know. Like for example, the two players on the wall from the Senior Bowl last year was Mac Jones, a quarterback from from Alabama to New England, and Michael Carter, our running back from North Carolina. You know what I'm saying? Like players who kind of like had to really boom their stock. So maybe Devin Lloyd doesn't need booming or whatever's going on with him. He's really good though. I'm kind of with Greg with the programs, right? Like the boys from Georgia, right? Like like how can you say no, right? Especially like if you don't get Dean in the first round. Right, and these guys when players play next to superstars. I always like to take a look at them, right? Like even Ajabo from Michigan, who is across from Hutchinson, right? His problem is he like just learned football, like which kind of makes me freak out a little bit. But those people always interest me. So they got the boys from Georgia. We got Devin Lloyd, of course, who's not there. Other than that, I don't know. Like I just kind of I got to see like how the practices go. I do have my eye on the kid from LSU just because it's LSU, and they always have fast linebackers that like to work in our system. I just don't know yet. Like we have the kid from Cincinnati. What's his name? Beavers. I like the Cincinnati guys. Maybe that's just like the cornerbacks, which we'll get into. So I always just kind of like watch their games. So we'll get into a little bit more of that as the practice progresses. But do you have anyone, Greg, that on the linebacker side that you're keeping an eye on?
Linebacker side, not specifically, just because for some reason it seems like what kind of sucks is like we don't have a ton of like great linebacker prospects here. All the guys that we have here, chances are day 3, maybe late day 2 guys. So what's nice though is that we need depth. Like chances are we have, 1 or 2 of our linebackers figured out, but we're gonna need some other guys. So
2. Wow, look at you being optimistic.
Maybe. And what's also interesting too, I was kind of looking more at the defensive line a little bit. But
yeah,
for me, Penn State, I feel like had a pretty good defense all season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're talking about the linebacker development core right there. So you're looking at Jesse Luketa from Penn State.
And to your point, John, about playing with good guys like the Georgia guys or whatever, he was playing with Micah Parsons not that long ago. So you take out Parsons and then you
say that name around me.
You put in C.J. Mosley as a true alpha leader, like we have on the linebacker position. You have a guy that's used to playing with, being the 1B guy, the second hand guy. So, as far as senior bowl players go for the linebacker position, I think it's very interesting that we have guys from all over the place. We have guys from Kansas, just kind of a whole bunch of different schools, a whole bunch of different prospects. And like I said, chances are they're going to be guys that we're looking at in the 5th, 6th, and 7th round. There's not too many guys that are.
We have no 7th round picks. Joe Douglas doesn't believe in 7th round picks. Don't be ridiculous.
I think the thing is when you look at these linebackers, right? I think one thing that we should be looking for is like height. Like you want someone who's able to put their hands up and deflect passes when they're going in there and get good reach when they're going in to get into the backfield. And you're also looking at speed, right? You don't want them to be too light, and you also don't want to be too heavy. You want them somewhere in between. I think someone like, whether that's like Mike Rose from like Iowa State, who's projected to go in the 4th round. You talked about Jesse Luketa from Penn State. That's who you were touching on, Greg. He's he's close to like 6'3", 247. Another guy who's good on the edge. And I think that's the other thing that the Jets are looking for. We're looking for edge rushers, man. We don't like middle is fine. We got CJ Mosley. But we need guys who are able to go, who are able to contain the outside. So I think for this, that's really what our linebacker coach should be looking at while he's there coaching this team so far. So that's just my opinion on defense. I'm not really going to get into cornerbacks and safeties.
Oh, whoa.
You really want to? You do?
Whoa,
You do?
yeah, because Kobe Bryant, yeah, that's right, Kobe Bryant
Yeah.
is
Not the
from
Kobe Bryant.
from Cincinnati, killed it today,
Yeah.
and I've been keeping my eye on him. He's been really good. Both of the cornerbacks from Cincinnati. I mean, we need a corner, and it better not be Stingley, and we need a safety, and it better not be Kyle Hamilton. And if you're looking for a safety, dude, you want to talk about games that we were watching, Greg? You know, shout out to Winning Picks Weekly. Tyson Anderson, dude, the safety from Toledo. He's a beast, yo. He's so good. If Tyson Anderson, even in the third round, dude, I really like him. He could come up and step up and be our starting safety. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He's 6'2". Maybe a little bit of an issue there. I think that's why he's going to drop. But other than that, he's a beast, dude. He's such a good cover. He can guard tight ends as well. I don't know. I'm kind of hyped about him. He's really good. I think the speed is a little bit of an issue, but he's got quick feet acceleration. I think that was his draft report. But we'll see how he does. I'm actually really excited how he does in the Senior Bowl. I got my eye on Tyson.
Who are you looking at, Greg? Are you looking at any of the safeties? Any looking at the corners? Anyone in the backfield?
He's fourth, fifth projection. So we can grab him there. I'm down.
Yeah, definitely Kobe Bryant, like John talked about, for sure. Again, we got another guy at Penn State. I mean, what's nice about the Senior Bowl, too, is they kind of group guys by school. So we got Penn State guys all throughout our roster. They, again, had a pretty good defense all year. Cincinnati, we know that they had a good defense for the last 2 years. So we're getting a good look at Kobe Bryant. His counterpart's going to be going top 10 possibly in the draft. So, he's good. Maybe we have our number 1 DB figured out. So we need a number 2 guy. So
call him Bryce Hall number 1.
Could be, maybe. I don't know. I was listening to I'm gonna butcher his name, our defensive coordinator, Ulbrich.
Jeff Ulbrich.
Yep.
Yeah, so I was listening to an interview today, from down at the the practice and stuff, and he was saying that he was really happy with the way our DBs kind of played towards the back half of the season. It was funny. He made the statement that if he wanted to scheme up our defense a little differently, we could have been 25th, but instead he let them learn, and we were one of the worst defenses in the league. So, so he was saying that they learned a lot. They came together a lot. Yeah. I don't know how much.
If I was playing hard, I would have won.
Yeah, we could have been 25th out of 32. It's like, all right, Jeff. So. I think there's a chance that we might get maybe 1 or 2 young guys, but he made the point about how they played well this season with no real veteran to look to. So I think there's a shot that we bring someone in free agency that has experience instead of keep drafting guys, because what are you going to do with 3 or 4 or 5, DBs and safeties that all have 1 or 2 years of experience? It's too much. You need some veteran leadership there for these guys. So I think there's more likely we're going to sign a DB instead of draft someone.
What's crazy, dude?
What's up?
I think you're right. I think we're going to sign a safety, and you know what's crazy? I don't think it's going to be Marcus May.
No.
His first name might be Marcus, but his last name not going to be May. Okay. I think it's going to be Marcus Williams. I really think we're going to sign him from the Saints. The Saints are dumpster fires all over there. True. I think he's healthy, and I think he's going to want less money than Marcus May. He might be on the same level. Let's just call him on the same level. Let's not upset anyone. He's on the same. Let's call him the same level as him, but he's healthy. I think we're going to sign Marcus Williams, and I don't know. I like the kid from Toledo, but I'm sure that we're gonna see a couple of things from the next couple of days of practice from the game, like Christian Watson playing Duke, and you'd be like, "Yo, pass the number 1." Like, "Yo, who's that safety? Yo, who's that guard right there?" So. I'm actually really excited for this game, dude. I'm really excited. I'm so excited to watch the Jets coach them. I feel like we've never been in this position. I don't know if we have. I didn't look up at the Jets have coached the Senior Bowls, but definitely not when I've been covering the Jets. Definitely not when I've been caring about the draft. So I've never been this into the Senior Bowl in my life. So I am all in, man. I'm all into this game. I can't wait to watch it this weekend. I've never been excited to watch a Senior Bowl game. I usually watch a Pro Bowl instead of the Senior Bowl. But this year, I'm all in.
You should probably be watching the Senior Bowl more so than the Pro Bowl, in all honesty.
I know.
Pro Bowl
I'm finally
now,
on. I'm finally on. Finally on, man.
It's meh. But hey, this is some good stuff on what we got. We'll get more detail, especially after the game this weekend, and we'll get back to you guys next week on our takes on it as well. But let's wrap this podcast up with some now the good and dirty stuff that we get to kind of bask in this glory. So let's start off with the which is the more irritating one, where it shows you how the Rooney Rule is just totally ineffective. Let's start off with Brian Flores, former head coach for the Miami Dolphins. He is now suing the NFL for being racist and for their malpractice in hiring black coaches, all right, or just hiring any minorities, but specifically black coaches in this case, because black coaches are underrepresented in the NFL. And when you look at all the information that's come out so far and seeing how the owner of the Miami Dolphins wanted him to tank and was willing to pay him $100,000 for every loss that the Dolphins took, that's gross. Then you have
that win streak. That win streak makes so much sense now.
Now it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. And 2 seasons like they won, but they wanted him to tank so that way they can get good draft position, which that's gross. And there's going to be some harsh penalties for Miami just for that type of news coming out. Then you have Bill Belichick texting Brian Flores, congratulating him, thinking that he was Brian Dabble, right? Who was he? The offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills. And
I love that they're involved somehow too.
So I'm saying everybody's in here.
Wasn't Brian Dabble? It was, Brian Flores, and Bill Belichick's like, congratulations, you got the Giants job.
Everybody,
and then Flores was like, thanks. And then wait a minute, he's like, that you're talking to Flores and not Brian Dabble, right? He's like, oh, sorry about that.
BB. I love that he signed the BB at the end there.
And then notice how Flores went from saying thanks, coach, to thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Bill. I know. It was classic.
You could see that there's just such a disdain.
You know what sucked so much about that was he said, I feel like I got a shot at it.
Yeah.
That sentence really sucked.
Yeah, that sucks because he is a good coach. You saw what he did in Miami, and
Tua Tagovailoa is his quarterback.
With Tua and the carousel of Tua and Fitzmagic down there. All right, Ryan Fitzpatrick was his quarterback too. Yet he still got 10-6 out of that team. It's impressive. And yeah, you don't want to take this guy who for how he changed what the Dolphins were. Makes no sense. So we have this. We have Bill Belichick who's involved. You have the Dolphins who's involved. Brian Dabble, Buffalo gets involved some way or so another. And then you have the Giants who are being sued for the racist practice of just utilizing the Rooney Rule of just saying as a checkbox saying, all right, we interviewed him, but you were given the job to Brian Dabble anyway, and you made that decision before you even brought him in, which is the big thing. They made the decision already to hire him, and Flores hasn't even gone in and interviewed yet. So that's where this whole thing is coming from, and it's just grotesque, man. I mean, there's nothing else to really say than it's just grotesque practice on the Giants, and it's not even just the Giants. We know that it's throughout the NFL and how it goes. Look, Eric Bieniemy still hasn't gotten a job.
The Broncos
and Broncos too,
indicted. Even though they got mad. They got mad. They were a little detailed in their answer. What's kind of ridiculous is the answer for the Giants was we were thinking about Flores until the 11th hour. That was their statement to that lawsuit. And just to be clear, the Rooney Rule was intensified in the last year.
With draft picks. It was draft compensation. So if you did hire somebody from another team, you're going to get what, a 3rd or 4th round pick? I forget, right? That's what it was.
Not only that, but they also added the fact that you have to interview 2 minority head coaches, for any position, and your coordinators don't count. So a lot of stuff going around about how the Giants, interviewed their own defensive coordinator who's a minority, that doesn't count. And how they interviewed Leslie Frazier twice. Like, that only counts as one person, even if you interview him 650 times. So if they did, in fact, have the Giants and the Buffalo Bills organization informed about Dabble getting the job, whether that's through Dabble or not, before the interview with Flores, like that is an infraction. Like that is like call it what you want to call it. It's an infraction, and they hired a head coach personnel without abiding by the Rooney Rule. Like that's just what they did. So whatever those consequences are, like they deserve it. I don't know what happened with Denver. There aren't clear text messages, to figure all that out. But I do love, as Greg mentioned, that it's the Giants are involved, the Dolphins are involved, the Bills are involved, and the New England Patriots are involved. Like, and on the same day that Tom Brady retires, like, what more can you ask for?
And Tom Brady's involved. Tom Brady is illegally tampering with teams.
I forgot. Yeah, he's just randomly showing up to Miami on his yacht.
Yeah,
and,
Tom Brady.
And randomly the owners and GMs know. Yeah, it's like, I happen to know that Tom Brady's going to show up, and I heard that maybe a bunch of NFL executives might be there. You should maybe go say hi if we all have dinner next door to him. Like, geez,
I want to know who else Tom Brady tampered with, too, in that offseason. That's my only question.
I'm sure there was nobody from Tampa Bay there. Definitely not.
Yeah.
Which is all hilarious. But I do hope that Brian Flores does make a difference with this lawsuit.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Because he did put his butt on the line. Like, he is actually still like people can say, oh, he's just butthurt. He didn't get the 2 jobs. Like, as we stand, he's supposedly, I don't know what to believe anymore, but he's supposedly, in the top running for the Texans job. So I don't know. Is he going to get Kaepernick though? Like, that's my question. Like, is he about to get blackballed from the league, sue them, again for discrimination on top of this? Like, because he pissed off the NFL. He's suing the NFL. He's not just suing the 2 franchises.
Right. Yeah. And the thing is, like, it's not being butthurt. It is like, look around the league. Look how many black coaches there are around the league. Look at how many minority coaches. There's not many. And I think even this season, we're down to, there's one right now. There's legitimately one. So you want representation in the league. But the thing is that the issue is that it's not him being butthurt. No, what do you want to say?
There's more than one minority head coach.
I'm talking about black head coach. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I think the rules like minority. Like with Rooney Rule, I think it's just like overall minority. I don't think they separate. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. But even still, you want representation in this league. That's the whole point of the rule, like to see representation around the league at the coaching level. And you're not doing that. And that's what this rule is showing. It's ineffective. It's not helping. So Brian Flores doing this is being a voice for the people who don't have a voice. So kudos to him for taking this challenge on. And he knows that. He acknowledged it. He acknowledged that this is something that could affect his future endeavor in coaching in the NFL. But this is, you want to see, you hope that the NFL could just do it under, natural, organic, like let's bring people. But sometimes you need a push in order to get that across the line. And kudos to Brian Flores for taking this challenge on. It's intimidating. It's scary because this is his income. This is how he supports his family. So I feel bad that he has to do this, but it's courageous for him nonetheless to be doing this. Doing this action overall. That honestly, that's all I could say about it. It's like, it just sucks, man. It truly just fucking sucks that this is what he has to do in order to help create diversity in this NFL. Honestly, like it just fucking sucks.
He's burning bridges, bro. He just burned the bridges to the entire AFC East. He just, you know what I'm saying, and the Giants himself. If he doesn't get the Texans job, he definitely burned the whole with the Broncos. That's half the league. You know what I mean? And now he's suing the NFL. He really put his butt out there, and I think there's something to be said about that. I don't think he's butthurt about a job. He could have got a defensive coordinator job.
He's not.
You know what I'm saying? He could have easily got that.
He's not butthurt for getting a job.
The only thing I'm actually really excited about, guys, and I'll be honest about this, if you were to ask me, if you would have gave me like $1,000 and said bet on where Flores is going to coach, I would say he's going to be the defensive coordinator for the New England Patriots. And now, there is 0% chance he's going to the New England Patriots. So I'm actually happy about that, just that part, because I thought he was going to come kill us. Like, he knows us. He beats us every week. He beats us every year. I don't think we've ever beat Brian Flores while he's on the Dolphins. We damn sure never beat him when he's on New England. So I was actually worried about that, just being a selfish Jets fan, for that one moment.
for that for that one shining moment. I hear
What's
you.
crazy
What up,
about
Greg?
this whole thing, and I don't want to get lost in the conversation, 'cause what he's doing is courageous, and what he's doing is ridiculous that he needs to do this, because a rule's only as good as the organization that enforces it. So you have to be enforcing these rules. You have to be following through on this type of thing. It's ridiculous that it's a rule in the first place, because it shouldn't need to be a rule. The ownership and the head coaches should reflect the NFL just like the players do and stuff. It's crazy, but what I don't want to get lost in all this is that Brian Flores is a good coach. I don't
Yeah.
get how this
And that's the thing.
I feel like we're losing that sight that he's a great coach.
And that's what makes it even saying that he's butthurt is like, are we serious? Like,
Yeah.
what he did with the Miami? How are you saying he's butthurt? He is more than qualified to have this job, but yet he's not. It's like he was just a head coach. Let's look at this. He was just a head coach. He was fired after having a winning record, with the Miami Dolphins, but yet.
With an
The
injured
Giants
quarterback,
decide-
and the owner wants to pay you to lose games.
Yeah, exactly, trying to lose.
Yeah.
And then hold on. And then when
stop.
you look at the Giants, and they're hiring Brian Dabble. No, this is no shade to Brian Dabble. He could be a good head coach, but no head coaching experience whatsoever. If you're looking for someone to be a head coach who has experience, who did it, like Brian Flores fits that to a T. You're taking a risk on a coordinator who you don't even know who could be an actual head coach. So that's where it's not that he's butthurt about this. It's that a legit qualified candidate didn't get a job.
Yeah, but Flores doesn't accept bribes. You want that kind of guy, your head coach, Alex?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I forgot. I need someone who can accept bribes. I need someone who behind the scenes could accept that they're going to tank for $100,000.
Yo, I have a question. Gase didn't accept $100,000 to lose games. Like
That's
you
even
have to win
better.
that game, bro.
To bring this on a lighter note, that says a lot. I wonder if they're probably like, look, Gase can do this in his sleep. We don't have to
For
pay him
free.
anything. This is for free.
The Miami owner's like, I gotta pay a guy to lose. I'm used to losing every single week.
Gase is over here capable of winning freaking high school football. What are we talking about over here?
Yeah.
Man, struggling.
Also,
But
to keep it lighter too, do you think those Bill Belichick text messages were legit? Do you think that's actually Bill Belichick, or you think
Yes.
it's just a fake? You think he just
I
It's
think
added?
definitely Bill Belichick, but if
I
I'm
don't
putting my
know.
tinfoil hat on, the guy only hates the New York Giants. Like Tom Brady hates the New York Jets. We know that. And that's why people are like, "Oh, yeah, you hate Tom Brady, you hate Michael Jordan." Oh, yes, I hate both of them. Yes,
Yes.
Michael Jordan ruined my life. Yes, Tom Brady, I hate them. I don't care what anyone says. I hate them. And now, as Bill Belichick, what do you hate? He always says the New York Giants, right? He was a coordinator there. He
Yep.
wanted that job. He never got it. The whole, the big tuna thing, Bill Parcells dynamic. Plus, they beat him twice. He hates the Giants. So my tinfoil hat is he just like trying, like, he's like, I can get into a little bit of trouble, but like these guys are into a lot of trouble if I kind of just like.
so you're thinking that it was actually purposeful that Bill Belichick
like he
did that.
knows.
I think
Yeah,
so.
like Bill Belichick knows that this guy has an interview, and he knows that Dabble got the job.
Yo, that'd be
But
wild.
he's like,
That'd be-
let me
that
screw the
is
Giants a little bit.
if Bill Belichick does that, this man is like the serious mastermind of just like getting anything he wants in the NFL, and no one's getting. That'd be wild.
He signed
That'd be wild.
it differently, yo. The tone changed dramatically on that last message. Like the BB signing was so weird. I don't know. That was.
It's
a
like
really
it's
weird
endearing.
thing.
It's like endearing, but also just like Bill Belichick endearing. What?
Like you're
That's
signing
kinda
it.
strange.
Like why are you signing this message right now?
That's why I kind of believe in the whole like it's a fake. It's not really Bill.
I don't think it's
Belichick
fake.
thing.
I don't think it's fake. I
Dude,
do not think. I think
What about the text?
Because here's
message?
the
He says,
thing.
Coach,
If-
are you talking to Brian Flores
Yeah.
or Brian Dable? Just making sure.
Yeah,
Who sends that text
yeah.
message? Who says that in a real life
But-
conversation?
I would say that because you're congratulating me. And he's like, yo, my name is Brian. The other guy's name is Brian. He just said, congratulations. Like, what is this guy talking about? You know what I mean?
I'd also like. I think the other thing is like, what's the relationship with Flores and Belichick too? Like, is it
Obviously
like
not
close
that
with a
great.
text like that? Yeah, exactly. So like, if it's not that close, and you're like, wait a minute, blah blah blah. It's like he's congratulating me. We haven't really spoken like that, and now he's I'm like, I actually got to confirm for a second. I think it's more to it. Also, like if you're submitting text messages, they have to be
better
legitimate.
be real.
Like you
And also,
can't.
why the hell is Bill
'cause
Belichick texting
and-
the offensive coordinator for the Bills? What a loser.
if Brian Flores like just thinking from like a legal standpoint, if he just submitted false text messages, that entire case is just over with. Like no one, like this whole everything that he's trying to do then would just be like, oh, and it gets thrown into a
Imagine
whole
Billy
nigga
B.
fight.
Oh, see, I
Billy
didn't
B
know
like
it
brings
was,
out
like-
his phone. And he's like, bro, what is this guy talking about?
Yeah, I was saying I didn't know that he submitted it. I thought it was just going around on Twitter.
No, Greg, this is like a real lawsuit.
I know it's
Oh,
a
no,
real
this is
lawsuit,
submitted.
but I didn't know the text messages were part of
No,
the
the text
actual
messages are
case.
no.
Oh,
the
they're
text messages
evidence.
are
Oh,
there.
It's part of the
Yeah.
evidence.
Oh, baby.
So-
That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. This is so awesome because they're all indicted in this like lawsuit. Like, I hope they get called to the stand. That'll be fantastic.
Can you
Oh,
imagine? So as like Jets fans, that's why it's like, oh wow, go Brian Flores, do it.
Oh, dude. If I could Brian Flores'
Yes.
jersey right now, I would. He's not only out of my division after he was a beast, but now he's like trying to take down every team I hate with him on the day that Tom Brady retires. Like Brian Flores is on my Mount Rushmore right now for the 21-22 season. Like I think he killed it for me.
Oh man, but let's end it on an even lighter note or hateful note based on this guy.
Uh-oh.
This guy officially retired. Tom Brady
No one cares.
officially retired after 22 years. Thank the
He's
Lord.
gonna drop it on his Kim Kardashian's Keeping Up with Tom Brady episode 10, bro. Look
Yeah.
out for it.
I'm not gonna watch it. Doesn't matter.
I would never
He finally
watch
did
it.
it.
Bill Simmons like, 10 episodes, 10 Super Bowl runs. How cool. Shut up, bro.
I
He
mean, it
didn't mention
makes
your
sense.
Instagram. He didn't mention your Instagram post. Just don't forget.
It's so funny seeing all the Patriots fans just get hurt out there. Like he didn't mention the
How
Patriots.
silly.
He was there.
You're giving
He was there
giving
for
people
so
ammo.
long.
How silly. How do you not act like Ryan Whitney? How is that not your reaction to like
Because they're a
You
bunch
guys are
of
making-
babies. They're a bunch of they're Johnny come lately guys. They just show
They're
up for Super Bowls
legitimately
and they whine
losers.
when they don't win.
Let me tell you here. All right, this is wicked. This is wicked awful. Fucking Tom Brady to even get to acknowledge the fucking New England Patriots. This is wild, guys. This is wild, bro. I don't even know. I just don't even know. Like that's it's how it sounds.
I
That's
don't.
how it
Also, I
sounds.
also don't get the. I don't understand why he did it. You ran him out of town. He won 6 Super Bowls. You guys wouldn't pay him any money. Everyone kept talking about how his wife makes a ton of money. You wouldn't pay the guy. Like why? Why would he? Why would he be happy about it? You chose Bill Belichick over him. You made your bed. He's gonna retire a Buccaneer. He's gonna go into Canton as a Buccaneer. And it's over.
I just want to thank Robert Kraft.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine if Tom Brady had like a half red, half that jersey
hope
that
so.
Casey Smith wears? Oh,
Yeah.
I would love that. That would be the best.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
That would be the ultimate crusher for the new. Oh yeah, you want to be a Tampa fan? Oh, it's the same thing. Oh,
They
Tom Brady's your
ran
guy.
him
Here you
out
go.
of town.
Here you go. Here's your.
I can imagine. I can imagine Bill Belichick is like, oh, I would like to thank Robert Kraft for this, really paying me and not choosing Tom Brady. It was the greatest
Pretty
decision he
good.
ever made.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
really
pretty
good.
good. Bill Belichick.
Yeah, it's really good Bill Belichick.
I'm just happy that if you turn on the TV, I mean, I feel bad for Brian Flores, but very happy that if you turn on the TV to any NFL or any sports thing, it's all Brian Flores stuff and not Tom Brady.
Not Tom Brady. I know.
That's huge.
Talk about ruining Tom Brady's parade.
Everything should happen today. If you have news, especially NFL news, like
Yeah.
you know what got dumped in the news today that nobody probably knows about? The Denver Broncos are up for sale.
Yeah, yes.
The Denver Broncos went up for sale this
Yeah.
morning, and no one even talked about it. Right? And then they got mentioned in this lawsuit as well. So that's why they were like, no. Like we don't have. It did not happen. They like wrote like at 5:00. We had 6 people and do this, and we like they were like trying to be detailed with it. But if you have
Yeah,
any news
wow.
today, like you should, the Raiders should probably do something. Whatever they got to do, just like do it today. You probably
John Gruden. This is John Gruden's chance to run around the entire Las Vegas Raiders stadium naked, and it would not make headlines.
the Dolphins should hire their head coach. Like everything should happen today, and so no one will talk about it at all. Because tomorrow, everyone's gonna wake up talking about Tom Brady signing that 1-day contract. Right? He's definitely gonna do that this week. Everyone's gonna talk about Brian Flores until the cows come home. So, especially if Brian Flores doesn't get hired. If Brian Flores doesn't get hired, he is going to be the big cloud on this NFL or really on this NFL organization. he's going to be the talk of the town every single
Do you think?
time.
Do you think Roger Goodell gets in here and stops and says, "Hey Texans, I need you to do a
Hire
favor."
him?
Yeah,
Yes,
take one for the team.
Hire him. Yes, 100,000%. That's all in my mind. If I'm Roger Goodell, I'm like, yo, you saw what happened with Kaepernick? We at least said that he sucked. Like that was at least and we still lost that lawsuit. This guy killed it last year. Like we have to hire him, and I mean, like you can fire him after 1 year. You have the precedent. You hire and fire guys every single year. You don't have a quarterback. You have Davis Mills. Like you're gonna lose games. Just please hire him, and like hold on to him for 1 or 2 years, and so we can just get this off our back because we're gonna get sued for $1 billion. We're like, if Kaepernick sued us and won, what is Brian Flores going to do to us? If I'm Roger Goodell, I'm like, Texans, you want help with Watson? You better sign this guy right now.
Also, too, just to Alex's point, like I do think it's crazy that other teams are getting coordinators chances when Brian Flores, like we said, is a good coach. He's proven it. He can do it with a crappy team in a crappy situation. Also, too, now that you're talking about
the man was getting bribed, had quarterback carousels, had Tua, and this man's coming out here winning games.
What I would show, I would literally, you know what my interview would be? I would bring a VHS videotape of Tua throwing balls. I'd be like, this is what it's like. This is it, man. This is my quarterback.
But also, too, to remember the teams that were closely, the Dolphins were closely linked to Watson, right? And the reason why is because Watson would waive his no trade clause to be with Flores. So if I'm the Texans, I'm like, yo, let's bring Flores in, let's sign him, because that's our chance at keeping Watson, who's a generational talent.
But then you see that they were trying to get him for tampering too. They were trying to get Flores too. If you read a little bit further, they were trying to get him involved in tampering, so that way he would like.
Brady.
I was like, wow.
Yeah, but they didn't name the player.
They didn't do it,
but it was the Brady offseason showing up on a yacht, and Tampa was there. Like, come on, we're not idiots. We're dumb, but we're not idiots.
Oh man! But I guess on that note, we can end it here with this pod. Get
Senior Bowl, baby. Let's go.
Senior Bowl.
All the Jets are doing.
Brian.
All the Jets are doing is at college practices and scouting and answering questions about their left tackle. That's all we're doing. You know what I'm saying?
Robert Saleh, just chill out for the week, bro. Just focus on the draft and just focus on these prospects. Just chill out for a week.
Who's next? Who's next that's gonna get killed? It's got to be Braden Mann.
Marcus May. They're gonna be like, so what are you doing with Marcus May? He's going for 10 minutes about what we're doing with Marcus May. Like, just chill out.
Thanks.
Tyler Cross catches a stray.
Yeah, Ryan Griffin should catch a stray.
He deserves to catch a stray. All right,
just one. Be like, our tight end sucked last year. Like,
You tell him, coach.
We need a huge upgrade. That's good. I like that.
Oh man. Well, on that note, Jets are gonna hopefully keep a low key week at Senior Bowl. Figure out their tight end, offensive lineman, defensive back situation, and linebacker situation. And more power to Brian Flores and taking on this monumental challenge, man. Nothing but power to you. So on that note, thank you everyone for tuning in for another Jets episode for the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast. You know the call to action. Please make sure to subscribe to this podcast. We're on all audio platforms, whether that's Apple, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon, Alexa, Stitcher, you name it. We are there. On top of that, if you listen to us on Spotify or Apple, please make sure to give us a 5-star rating. But if you listen to us on Apple, please make sure to leave a comment because that helps oh so greatly. Also, we got a YouTube channel, Knicks, Jets, etc. Make sure to go find that page on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. That way you know when new episodes drop. And when you watch a video, hit that like button because it's just a courteous thing to do. And while you're there, we got another podcast, Winning Picks Weekly. We got John, video producer Greg, who joined us today and gave us his insight on this draft knowledge because this is his holiday. This is his season. This is his time to shine. So this won't be the last time he's on here giving his takes. He'll be back on again because he's our draft expert and video producer. He wears a lot of hats. He wears a lot of hats. So, but you know what they do over there, Winning Picks Weekly. They give you their takes on the NFL slate. Nothing this week. Relax. Super Bowl's next week, so they'll be ready for that one. But they got NBA. They'll be doing some NBA action. So make sure to stay tuned because they'll give you their takes on the NBA
NFL's
action.
over. It's so sad.
And guys, Make sure to follow us on all social media platforms, whether that's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We are there. All right, everyone. We'll catch you later this week for another Knicks episode. We out.
Let's go Jets, baby.